What is going on, everyone? Welcome back, guys, to episode number 10 of our Nostalgia Gaming series, and today we're going to be reviewing Medal of Honor Rising Sun, which was created in 2003. It was actually created by EA. They created the first game as well, which was Medal of Honor Frontline. It was actually my previous episode, in episode number 9 of my Nostalgia Gaming series. I highly recommend you check that episode out, guys, because I talked a lot about this series and Medal of Honor in particular as a whole. And yeah, guys, this is a great installment of follow-up in the next year after 2002, and it featured very similar gameplay mechanics. Also, in my opinion, I think it improved upon a lot of the gameplay mechanics from Frontline. And as you'll see here in this first mission, we're actually on one of the ships during the D-Day, or not D-Day, Pearl Harbor. The incidents that took place back in 1941 in December. So yeah, guys, that's why we're starting off here. This game basically takes the perspective from the Americans' standpoint of the war. It focuses on the Pacific side, more towards like when we're fighting the Japanese forces on the various islands and stuff. And the third mission, actually, I'll be showing in this video, will be in the Philippines, so you'll see a different perspective as well. And as you can see here, we're just trying to get through the ship. It's actually sinking right now. I think this is the California, because later on in the game you'll hear other Marines and stuff mention, oh, you were on the California, or I can't believe you got off of that. And a great thing about this first mission, it kind of takes place over the Pearl Harbor battle in two different missions. Kind of like in the first game, it took place over the D-Day invasion from the American standpoint, over two different missions. One in which you were storming the beach, kind of like Saving Private Ryan, and then the second mission you were inside the bunkers and kind of destroying them for your American troops to land and stuff, and it progress into Normandy and everything. So I just love World War II history, guys. That's why I'm a big fan of these games and any first-person shooter that's related to World War II. And also, guys, in this game, it featured different collectibles. As you can see, the film canisters. There's two of them in the first level. If you collect two of them, you get a film reel. I think you could review some like old footage and stuff. So there's some incentives for going back through the levels. There's also bonus side missions. So you'll notice throughout the levels that there's these guys that'll ask for help. Like, for example, in this mission, if you use the fire extinguisher like you saw in the previous clip, we were actually able to save a bunch of people and get a bonus side mission. I think it was like one of two completed. So there's about two in every level. And here, let me go check this out, guys. It's on the back of the game's cover. It talks about December 7th, 1941, the infamous Pearl Harbor incident. It was just totally terrible, guys. I can't believe. That's one of my goals, to travel to Hawaii, or you know what I mean, Pearl Harbor, and see everything. I just want to go see the memorial and pay my respects to all the veterans that lost their lives and stuff. That would be an awesome thing to go and see. Well, it's not awesome to go and see it. It's tragic, but it's a good thing to pay your respects to the veterans, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, it looks like I won't be traveling anytime soon because of the coronavirus. I can't believe that, guys. It's just crazy. But anyways, also in this game, we will be battling through the jungles of Guadalcanal to the streets of Singapore. So there's various locations, like I mentioned earlier, in this game. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend Medal of Honor games all around, because they're great first-person shooters. They're kind of like the precursor to Call of Duty. A lot of Call of Duty aspects were inspired from these games. And I just think it's honestly great to go back and play these old games and get the experience in. There's over 20 authentic World War II weapons in this game, so they added a couple more from the previous installment. There's different weapons. There's a bunch of like submachine gun, light machine guns. There's really a lot of different rifles, pistols, and you'll notice the enemies in this game have different tactics compared to the Nazi troops in Medal of Honor Frontline. For example, in the third mission, we're actually going to be escorting a tank squadron through the streets of the Philippines that are being occupied by Japanese forces. So we have to escort this tank, and you'll notice that the Japanese troops, they'll charge your tank with these sticky bombs. So you have to kind of kill them off and prevent them from getting to the tank and taking damage. So it's a really tricky mission, the mission number 3 in the game. But I highly recommend you just keep playing this game and check out all the other missions, because it really does tell a great story. I forget your character's main name in the game, but it's not really as memorable as the other one, in my opinion. Frontline, like the main character, or any of the characters. I just focus on the gameplay, and I'm not really focused on the story because it just showcases some historic events in World War II from the various islands that the battles took place in. So it's a great game, and the graphics do hold up, guys. Look at this. I mean, this is from 2003, and this battle scene right here still looks pretty awesome. So definitely that's another positive about this game, is that the graphics still are awesome. And look at all the planes, the Japanese planes. I think they're called Zeros. They're all above us on the harbor, and it's just super scary. It gives you kind of a perspective of what went on that horrific day in that battle. So, it was mainly a surprise attack. It wasn't really a battle because they didn't really give us a chance. So, anyways, another great thing about this game is that the THX, they produced a lot of awesome sound effects for the game. It's very realistic. It kind of reminds me of Battlefield. And that's another series I'm going to be reviewing in this game, in this nostalgia gaming series, is the Battlefield series. I'm going to be reviewing the originals as well as some of the newer games because those are all nostalgic to me, and they would fall within this category. So, of first-person shooters. Also, guys, another interesting thing about this game is there was all-out online warfare. And I can't remember if this was in Frontline as well, but this game definitely featured online capabilities via broadband. So if you were able to have a connection back then, you were pretty much the bee's knees in town. You were able to play online with different people and rank up your character and progress. So yeah, that was something back then that was really astonishing. And it was pretty cool that they were able to do that back then, and still, it was kind of like the precursor to all of these multiplayer games today. So, another thing is you were able to use voice chat communication methods in the game. So, if you were in multiplayer mode, you were able to chat, put on a headset. So that was another thing that was really innovative for the time being. And there was multiplayer combat. You were able to engage Japanese forces in 2-player co-op modes, so that was another unique aspect of this game. You could also choose to play as the Axis or Allied soldiers in 4-player multiplayer combat. And basically in this game you defeat the Japanese Empire, survive devastating bonsai charges, which I mentioned earlier, and you'll see throughout this gameplay clip in this mission. And you'll fight alongside battle-hardened allies, so it's just overall a great game. It tells a great story as well, if you're into the first-person shooter storylines. And another game I wanted to mention that I will be reviewing is the original Call of Duty Finest Hour. I have a bunch of other series planned for this nostalgic gaming series on my channel, and it's going to be a lot of work coming up in the few weeks, but I think with this new schedule, guys, like my whole entire school schedule has been switched to online classes, and I actually have to help my professor set up that online capability for one of my classes, which is kind of funny that the IT department at the college couldn't do it. So they're relying on students now from this outbreak. So anyways, guys, back to what I was talking about. This mission in particular, which is why I wanted to show it in this episode. You can see all the different weapons I'm using. I'm using the Thompson. There's also grenades you're able to throw at the enemies. And the M1 Garand is back. I'm not really sure if that's how you pronounce it. I think there's a different way to pronounce the M1 Garand or something like that. But yeah, as you can see, I switched the controls up here, so I'm able to control my character better. I think that's another great aspect about this game is, for the time being in 2003, the controls for multiplayer shooters and all this stuff weren't really that great back then, but this one was really smooth, like moving side to side and everything. You could also adjust your sensitivity for your character, so you'll notice that it becomes easier as you progress throughout the levels and you get used to the controls. because that's one thing, going from the modern days back to these old nostalgic consoles such as the PlayStation 2, the controls are a lot different and you definitely have to get used to them. For example, the action button and all that stuff. And in this mission, you have to, this is the third one, by the way, that I mentioned earlier. You have to go and find this cog for the tank so you can get it functioning properly again and you can get it moving throughout this city. And you're pretty much shooting down the enemies here as they run along the side. So you have to be very careful and keep a sharp eye out. I end up dying on this try here, so that's why I ended the episode when I got killed. It was kind of ironic, but overall, guys, I highly recommend this game. That's one of the great things about this game, is it had multiplayer capabilities for the time, a variety of weapons. It was authentic to the World War II history, and it was overall a fantastic game. The sound effects were sweet. Like, look at this guy here. He just tried to charge our tank and blow it up there, kill all of our squad members. But we're just gonna take him out with the Tommy gun. And we got a few more troops, we're gonna blast them away. Look at those planes flying overhead too. Just gives you a whole different perspective on the invasion that was going on these various islands throughout World War II on the Pacific front, because there was different fronts, of course, in the war. Oh crap, jeez. Just imagine how crazy it was to live back then and experience all this horror that was going on in the world. I mean, there's crazy things going on today, but nothing like this. This was the greatest generation of heroes, basically. Ooh, jeez, we gotta shoot these guys, I forgot. The animations in this game are another funny aspect. Some of the characters, if you shoot them in the foot, they'll like jump up and down like their foot's hurting. And then you could just shoot them in the head again and they'll pop down easily. And another thing is, if you shoot their helmets on their head, they will pop off, and sometimes you have to shoot them again just to make sure that they are dead, because these enemies are a little bit more brutal. They'll just charge right at you. Sometimes they have the bayonets and everything too, so you definitely have to watch out. Although the melee attack is back in this game, so you could always use that to your advantage. And yeah, this game, you'll definitely have to switch between a variety of different weapons, such as the M1 Garand and various long-range weapons to take out enemies in the distance, because the spawn points are a little bit different in this game. They're improved from Frontline, so enemies will spawn in the distance as well as up ahead, and you have to adjust to the various weapons, such as like the sidearm, or like the pistol or a submachine gun, and then switch back to the long range. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, it's a great game, guys. I would probably give it maybe a 9 out of 10 or something. There's definitely a slight room for improvement. It's not a perfect game, but it is great. And I don't know, that's just my nostalgic gaming review of Medal of Honor Rising Sun. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode. I have a lot of great content that I kind of mentioned in this series, or in this episode, that's coming up in the series in the future, such as Call of Duty I will be reviewing, the original Battlefield, and what else did I mention? I can't remember. I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks as the semester changes and everything. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm about to get killed in this gameplay, and stay tuned for more content coming soon from all of my other series. Thank you for watching and have a great day.